Thank you, Chairwoman Stevens, and thank the panelists for appearing here today. I've got the same two questions for each of you, and you can answer them in the order you were introduced, if you don't mind. A recent poll by Mooring Consultants found that 90% of Americans think the U.S. should manufacture renewable energy domestically, and 70% think we should not be dependent on the Chinese controlled factories in Southeast Asia for solar imports. The COVID pandemic, supply chain disruptions, and invasion of Ukraine have reminded us of the importance of energy independence. Today, most of the solar production is, of course, dependent on China. Question one is, what is being done to build rather than undermine our domestic solar capacity? And two, what can Congress do to protect American manufacturers from China, which uses slave labor to make their solar products?
Thank you, Congressman. I'll start with the answer. I will say from an IPCC perspective, scaling up production of renewables wherever we can do that is incredibly important and a key piece of the solution, because decarbonizing society is kind of at the core of all solutions to solve the problem. With regard to the barriers that may be standing in our way to do that, and our reliance on China and other places, I'm not really very well positioned to answer that question, but I do have access to many experts, both in the IPCC world and across the interagency, who could get back to you with a specific answer to your questions.
Thank you, I appreciate
it. Thank you, Congressman Posey, for the question, and thank you for your strong support of critical minerals legislation and the Super Act, for example, that kind of gets right at this issue. It's a really important issue as we look at the innovation agenda moving forward. I think solar is unfortunately a warning sign of the U.S. policy had a significant role in driving down the cost of it, and then we ultimately lost solar supply chains to China. And so as we look across technologies and investing in innovation, we need to be looking at how we build out U.S. supply chains, how do we source domestic resources needed to construct those technologies here at home in an environmentally sound way, and really look at supporting and increasing U.S. American competitiveness. So I think that needs to be layered kind of across the innovation policies that this committee takes up. Particularly on the solar side, one area that I'm particularly interested in is perovskite solar. It's a technology that's getting a kind of breakthrough at NREL, the national lab in Colorado. It's thin film solar. I think it's the next generation of solar that can be basically printed in rolls. I think it's an opportunity to invest in the manufacturing here, and I don't think we're going to bring back silicon PV from China, unfortunately, but I think we can bolster domestic supply chains on next generation solar technologies.
I appreciate the question and just the complexity that it raises in regard to how we're going to navigate the innovation and technology development we need to transition to renewable energy. One thing I think this is helpful to bring in mind is to consider how we're weighing out the benefits and risks, and that we are considering human rights and moral and ethical obligations to other human beings and to our land and natural resources. So much of our metrics for weighing out benefits or successful measures and the risks of different measures are operating on such small timescales that really don't reflect the timescales that it takes to remediate ecological degradation. So I think as we look at different renewable options, considering the costs in manufacturing, the costs in disposal, and what those long-term costs we might be giving to the future generations and not considering now will be very important in making the decisions about the concerns that you raised. Thank you for the question.
Congressman, thank you so much. And let me say thank you to you for the Florida Solar Center initiative that you champion, and we would like to be a part of that. So I understand, through university partnerships, maybe we could expand that to South Florida. Locally, we certainly have done everything to facilitate permitting of all of these renewables. That's part of what I did as a commissioner before I came on as mayor. We also have a blue-green tech initiative, and we have even floating solar. The legislature here just passed a law making it easier to to move forward with floating solar, which we've already pioneered and I have championed here at the local level.
I thank the witnesses, and my time has expired, and I yield back. Thank you.